This is a traditional business model. What do we have here? What we have here is we have all these advisors around the dentist. You've got consultants, insurance people, accountants, financial planners, friends, team, lawyer, family, real estate broker, banker, and a lot more than that. You've got all these people who are who are influencers in your lives. And you want to put a plan together. Let's say a plan for an eventual practice transition. So what you do is you go to the accountant and you say, I've never done a transition before. I know that you have a few dental clients. Can you help me with this transition? The accountant says, sure. With the accountant, so the accountant, bright, well-intended, who has served you reasonably well or very well over a period of time, comes back with what? They come back with the exact plan that they used in the other transitions they did with other dentists. Okay, you go to the lawyer, can you help me? Sure. Go to the banker, can you help me? Sure. You go to the dental supplier, can you help me? Sure. And they come back, each of them with their own model of what works and what would work for you. What's wrong with this picture is that what you end up getting is you end up getting a whole bunch of well-intended advice from everybody that's directed from the outside in back to you. And if you take really good notes, you'll still end up with a discombobulated mess. The difference of a different model that I'd like to suggest is where you have you with an updated vision, some new plans, and are clarified in terms of where you want to go, how much longer you want to practice, at what pace you want to practice, and all those kinds of things, where you take this thing to the place where you say, and you go to all these people now and you say, okay guys, or you might even call a meeting and have most of them, you certainly have the accountant and the attorney and your financial people and family and so on. You call a meeting and you say, okay, here's the plan. What I need your help with is that I need your help with acting and helping me act the plan out. Coming up with strategies that'll work very, very well for me to put this thing together. But you get totally different outcomes because this is you going to them with a strong suggestion of exactly what you want and need. And that's completely different than just asking them in a void to give you advice about what they might think is best for you based on what they've done for other people. You're going to end up with somebody else's contracts. And so this is a far, far better way to do it. How many of you practice with family members? Any? Okay. Okay. You normally what happens, well, let me tell you a little story. I had one of the ADA meetings I spoke at, I was in Kansas City actually. And they, as they usually do, they say, we'd like you to come and present all day, and you can either do an all-day seminar on these range of topics, or we'd want you to speak on this one, but pick one yourself that you'd like to talk about and do a half day and a half day. So I did, and at that Kansas City meeting several years ago, and I had never heard anybody speak on bringing a family member into a dental practice, although I'd had a lot of experience with it and knew that there were a ton of misconceptions about it. And so I did one, I think, on adding an associate or growing an associate into being a partner in the morning. And for the afternoon, I did one on bringing a family member into your practice. And I, honest to goodness, didn't know what kind of a turnout I was going to have. I didn't know if there was going to be a full room or if there were going to be three of us and we were just going to go over to Starbucks and sit and have a conversation. There were over 250 people in the room. And which didn't shock me, it really pleased me. But the general theme of all that is the challenges of practicing with family, or bringing a family member into a practice, are at least twice as difficult as the challenges of bringing in a virtual stranger. And that's because of all the assumptions that go on as to what the relationship is like and what family members tend to do. Go ahead.
In what capacity?
What family members tend to do is assume that since we're family and we know each other, and like you wouldn't know much about the stranger, the other dentist who you're going to just go out and recruit, you know something about the family member, they would then say, we don't have to do all the work. We don't have to do all the work of going through a process and planning all this kind of thing because we're family, we know each other. The reality is that there's so much more at stake if it doesn't work in terms of the potential of negativity being brought into those long-standing relationships and all of that the challenges of adding a family member, the outcome when it's done well is the best thing that can happen to you. But so many of the ventures into family practice fail miserably. And it's because they skim right on by all this stuff. And they go right into, well, we know each other, let's just put the contracts together, and they assume things. and the first, another major reason that things happen is that the first, you know how when you raise a family or you grow up in a family, you have an adult-child relationship, and then you eventually move into a peer-peer relationship, an adult-adult relationship. You eventually move into an adult-adult relationship. Now you come in as dentists and you come into practice together. At the first sign of a behavioral conflict, somebody pulls rank. So even though you might have talked about this relationship that you've had, that you want to have as adults, either dad becomes the parent again, or son or daughter reverts to being the child again, and you're in trouble. And it happens all the time. So you just literally have to do way more work, twice as much work, than you would if it wasn't family, because you have at least twice as much at stake. And you have a circumstance where you have a lot more people who are impacted by the ripple effect